Right, so I wanted to come in and weigh in on my opinion, or like just talk about the Embracer Group deal and what it means for Marvel's Avengers. What I think personally it means for Marvel's Avengers, and there's three outcomes that could happen because all of the Square Enix Marvel games that are out already or were in discussion or whatever. There's basically I wouldn't expect getting any concrete DLC for Guardians. I wouldn't expect that. I don't think there was any planned anyway, but I don't think we're going to get any DLC for Guardians. I don't think we're going to get a sequel. I would love a sequel because that game is fantastic, but I don't think we're going to get one. Mainly because there's too many complications with the deal. But it's gone through now, so all we're kind of waiting for is for Disney to give the green light. For Marvel to give the green light and say, look, you can keep working on Avengers. You can do other Marvel games if you want. But yeah, that's all Embracer needs, and then they can tell CD, right, you can do this now. I think there's three possibilities for what could happen. Disney could say no. They could say, right, we're not making enough money from Avengers, from any of your games. Guardians was financially not very good for us as a company. We put a lot of money into making it, didn't get a lot of money back. Avengers, there's a lot of negativity online. Almost everywhere you go, you're going to see people moaning about how there's too little content, how the game's boring, everything feels the same, the story's not very good. The actual gameplay loop is just so all over the place, and but I think the amount of money that's been put into Avengers and the amount of time that's been put into Avengers already, I don't see Disney or Marvel, I don't see either of them saying no flat out. I think personally, more likely things will stay the same. Things will stay relatively the same. We might get one more character a year. We may get, more frequent content, because I feel like we may get somewhat more frequent content, but we're going to get stuff in the same scale as what we've got now. Like, we're going to get a character that's going to come out with a mission chain, and you're going to get, XYZ things that you already expect, and maybe more events, more stuff along that line, and then you're going to get more stuff like, you're going to get a raid a year, you're going to get, villain sectors being dropped a couple of times a year, and you're going to get maybe, I don't know if expansions are still going to be a thing. Probably, I would hope that they are, because that's where your story content should be. Operations should be scrapped. That I agree with, because operations and expansions, confusing which one's which, we don't know. There's not enough separation between the two. The expansion for War for Wakanda was the same length as the operation for Hawkeye and the operations for Kate Bishop. So I think getting rid of operations, just having expansions, have that be all of your story content, make it longer, make it the length of, the actual campaign, and have us actually care about these characters, because, our biggest complaint is that we don't know enough about this universe. There's not enough lore around it you know, because the one thing that I really want to do when a new character comes out is, you know, maybe like a couple days before Winter Soldier, I can do like a big video explaining everything that's happened before. I can't really do that because there's not enough here. There is, but it's so all over the place. There's so many things that haven't been wrapped up. I don't think there's a single story thread that's been, you know, really actually wrapped up. And if there is, none of them have been wrapped up successfully. Like the Nick Fury thing, he just shows up. Claw, I guess Claw got wrapped up pretty well, but the raid didn't need to happen. Like, Monica is still out there, somehow, even though she died, but somehow she's still back. MODOK is still gonna be a thing. I don't know why, because his fight in the story was boring and bad, but people wanted him back, so he's back, and, you know, the Kree stuff hasn't really even started ramping into anything. There's Ultron stuff being laid at the groundwork. I don't want the game to go away from focusing on that, but I want the game to, you know, do that in a smarter way and actually have, you know, depth and make these events mean something. So I think the most likely thing we get is just the game will keep plodding along as it has, and maybe we may get a new character every quarter instead of a new character whenever the game feels like it. Or the third option is that the game has a complete overhaul. The game gets a complete, you know, reinvigoration of life. It gets a new lease on life, and it does like the Final Fantasy XIV thing. It does like a No Man's Sky, where it completely is torn down and rebuilt from the ground up. And we're kind of gonna see that with the hero buffs that are coming later in the month. Winter Soldier's coming, so he might bring in some more interesting gameplay elements. But yeah, I would much prefer option 3. I think personally the most likely is option 2, where the game just stays the way it is and just will get these incremental updates, which are frustrating for the player base. And we're just like, and we come in and then we leave for the game will be like Destiny, but there is a fourth option where the game gets shut down, the servers get shut down, and we get an Avengers 2, like a Destiny 2. I think that's stupid. I think that's a terrible idea. We don't need a sequel now. We don't need a sequel when the stories that are already in the game haven't even been wrapped up. I don't think we're necessarily there at a point where a sequel is anything worth considering or talking about. Maybe my idea, or if ever there's an Avengers 2, or whatever an Avengers 2 will look like, I want all of the core Avengers in Marvel's Avengers, and maybe keep that team or that roster, and that will be taken to like a Marvel superheroes game. Like I would have a hard time justifying putting say the Fantastic Four, X-Men, Guardians, Defenders, characters like that into an Avengers game, because they're not Avengers. Call the game Marvel Superheroes, you open the doors to anything and everything. right? And you can do any villains. I think that, but then you have like Lego Marvel's Avengers, which does have all of those other characters as well, but that's a Lego game. They can get away with much more in a Lego game. But this, I think it stick with your core Avengers. I don't think the game needs playable villains yet. I don't think the game needs... The game didn't even need Echo characters yet, or ever. But it's got them. It's got one. The most frustrating thing with that is that Jane Foster and Thor are both in Marvel Future Fight, Marvel Strike Force, and Marvel Contest of Champions. They're both in those games, and those are mobile games, and they're not echoes of each other in that they're both different characters, with different skills, different animations, different everything. And those are mobile games. And in a console game, you can't give that character... You can't make those two characters feel different. I think that's just... I don't want to say lazy, I don't want to throw the word around lazy, but who made that decision? And whoever made that decision obviously doesn't know or wasn't aware that the mobile games did it better. The mobile games did it better. And that's why I keep saying, like, we don't need echo characters of each other. Because if a mobile game can exist and have, 250 characters almost, and all of them feel different, play different, have different animations, different skills. I don't care if the characters feel similar or play similarly. It's just the animations being different, every animation being different. That's the thing that mobile games are getting right, but this console game isn't, and that's a problem. But yeah, the ideal is that the game gets a complete new coat of paint. The worst case scenario is the game gets anthemed, and the most likely scenario is the game keeps just plodding along at the pace that it has. I don't want that to happen. I don't want the game to get like completely shut down. I don't want the game to die. I love this game as much as I complain about it. I love this game. The fact that a game like this can exist, and a game that has like these, not just the really popular characters, but it has the promise of unknown characters as well. Like, what other game can you play as Winter Soldier? What other game can you play as Jane Foster that's not like on your phone? What other game can you play as Kate Bishop? What other game can you play as even Hawkeye? Even Hawkeye is not playable in many other games apart from like if he's a Lego version or if he's on a mobile. The last time Black Panther was a playable character was in those Marvel Alliance games. And I want this game to keep going because I want, the roster to be expansive and to be huge, to be as big as a Marvel Alliance or even bigger. I want the game to dip its toes into other characters and to dip its toes into the Fantastic Four, the X-Men. I want the game to keep doing expansions. I want more villains, and I don't want the game to die. That's my biggest thing. I don't think the game will die. I think the Embracer thing, the whole reason why my theory on the reason why we haven't had content for the past, like, for the first half of this year is literally just because of the Embracer deal, and the game, and CD didn't want to release too much at the start of the year because there was no concrete team at the forefront. There was no concrete publisher, and if whether it stayed with Square, whether it just faded away into nothingness, whether it went to Embracer, they wanted that clear, that clear-cut, definitive answer on whether they would have even a team at the top before they started putting more content in. And I think that's probably why the roadmap was so lackluster for the second half of last year. I think that's probably why we haven't seen, big content drops outside of War for Wakanda or why we haven't seen a big content drop since War for Wakanda. I think the big reason for that is the Embracer deal. That's my only explanation, because I don't think a live service game would go half a year without content without a decent reason for it. I don't think they would go half a year without content because we didn't have anything scheduled between January or between like end of November and July. It's aggravating. It's an aggravating place to be, because I'm not worried about the game dying. I just want there to be game to play. I'm not worried about the game dying. I just want the game to have something new every month. Something to play every month, and that's not just a recycled event. That's not just the same raid that we've been playing over and over. That's not the same OLT that we've been playing over and over. I want either a new event, a new something, or like just put the open world thing that you said was going to be the Wasteland fucking, what's it called? Patrol. Just put patrol mode in already, because it was something you said you were going to do, and it was something everyone, once we saw that, was like, we want that to come as soon as possible, and it's become Cloning Labs 2. We've got the promise of Cloning Labs coming with Winter Soldier. Why that is, we don't know. Apparently there's a story reason for that. There shouldn't need to be a story reason for why characters are being dropped with content. Characters should be dropped with content because it's an update. Because that's what an update is. Because a new character isn't content. A new character is a new character. It's like getting a singular Yu-Gi-Oh card instead of getting a pack or having a deck. Because if you've got a singular Yu-Gi-Oh card, you can't do anything with it. It's just a thing to look at. And that's what these characters coming in without content is. It's just something to look at and to be like, hey, that looks nice. I wish I had something to do with it. And or it's the same as having, I don't know a decent analogy for it, to be honest. It's just frustrating. That's what it is. It's frustrating. But yeah, let me know in the comments below what you think is going to happen with Avengers. Also, thank you so much for getting my tier list video up to 2,000 views, 2,500 views. That's insane. I can't believe that a video of mine is on 2,000 views. Like, what the fuck? It'd be nice if the sub count was that high. It would be nice if the view count was that high on all of my videos. Wink, wink, nudge, nudge. But I'm grateful that that video's done so well. Hopefully it means that every tier list video does that well or better. Hopefully it means that the next tier list video will do better. And hopefully that means that the videos surrounding that video will do well as well. If you've watched that video, or if you haven't watched that video yet, go watch it. It's from the analytics, it's technically my best video I've ever done. Also the most controversial video I've done, because people want to kill me for not liking Thor. But yeah, I am cautiously optimistic for the future of this game. I've never been in a state of optimism with this game since the first, since I finished the campaign, the very first campaign. I haven't been in a state of optimism. I've been in states of enjoyment. I've enjoyed pieces of content that have come out. I've enjoyed, the stuff that came out with Hawkeye. I enjoyed the Maestro fight. I enjoyed Hawkeye as a character. I enjoyed War for Wakanda. I enjoyed the Monica villain sector. I've enjoyed the raid when I can get it to work. I enjoyed the OLT. And stuff like that is fine. You can enjoy stuff, but I've never been in a state of, right, things may possibly change, things may possibly get better, and I guess that's the state, that's what this kind of game does. You're always in a state of disappointment, because there's always stuff that they've always got to leave stuff to fix later on, or stuff that they've always got to put stuff in later on. You're never going to get a complete game, because that's the point of games like this, is that they never complete, they never end, really. I guess that's the beauty of making a game like this based on a comic book property, because comic books never end. You've got a wealth of stories from the 60s to now, to present day, to literally last Wednesday. And that's why a comic book property is like the perfect live service game. In theory, you need to know what you're doing outside of that, and then we get to a frightening point where, is Avengers going to ever reach to a point where they do what Destiny did, where they're going to have to start sunsetting content? And if that is the case, how much content needs to be in the game before they're like, right, we need to trim the fat, and how much, what do they get rid of? Because there's a lot of fluff, like iconic missions. At this point, get rid of them, because everyone who's playing the game right now has played them. They're not relevant towards the story in any way. The only one that's remotely interesting is Thor's, because it introduces Loki. But then the question on everyone's lips since launch is, when are we getting any payoff for that? And the answer's always been, you're not. The answer's always been like, not in the next update, or not in the update after this, or not in the update after that, not in the next piece of content. So what character after Jane is big enough to continue a story that involves Loki that isn't Loki himself? You know? Are you going to put Loki in as a playable character? It would be interesting. It would be fun. It's another Asgardian, so you might as well just call this Asgardians the game. You know, but I suppose there are already two Hulk villains, and the main villain of the story is very like close to Bruce Banner, so I guess I'll allow having more Thor stuff come into the game, but I would like to see the other characters get stuff, like put in a Iron Man villain, put in like Ezekiel Stane, put in like Crimson Dynamo, Ironmonger, Ghost even. If you put Ant-Man in, put Ghost in with Ant-Man. You know? I would love to see like an Ant-Man expansion with Ghost and Yellow Jacket. That'd be cool. That'd be fun. But yeah, I would. This game's just become like theories and stuff I want to see, but in all, let me know in the comments below what you want the game to do now that the Embracer deal is done. Let me know what you think is going to happen, what you want to happen. Let me know if you think that the game's going to die. I don't want to promote over negativity, but you know, if you think the game's going to die, if that's your opinion, you know, you're entitled to it. So, you know, it's not constructive in any way, but you're entitled to it. But yeah, I'll see you guys in the next video. Hopefully it's got a bit more hopefully I know what I'm talking about in the next one. But I'll see you guys in the next video. Peace.